about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. Easy, you are always better at introductions more than me. Who do we have with us on the broadcast today?
Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever been to a place where you can just feel the history and the art flowing through the very fabric of which it is made? A place where community can come together and see incredible things like a puppet show, like a movie, like Steve and his brother reuniting on stage for an incredible moment. There have been music videos shot at this place. There have been poetry slams done at this place. There has been culture and art done in this place. And there has been art restoration done in this place. And I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. Mentally, I want you to keep your hands at 10 and 2 because we don't want any accidents. But seriously, put your hands together for the amazing, the fantastic, the incredible, the all-around, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious type of person. John Cavaliere is in the building with us today. Welcome, benvenue, and thank you for being here.
Those are kind words, Easy. I thank you.
Of course. Now, John, you actually started out with a shop in downtown New Haven, and you moved to Lyric Hall. How did that transition happen, first off?
Okay, so I was working in the city at a museum. I studied art. And instead of going to graduate school, I said, hey, I want to be around the art.
Right.
So I decided to become a security guard at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Okay. And I got my wish, and but I fell in love with the picture frames, not the paintings. so such a contrarian, right? So I took an apprenticeship with the master gilder. And he taught me how to make molds and castings and repair and gold leaf antique picture frames. And then eventually I moved back to New Haven, and my father had a business on Chapel Street. It was a barbershop, and he got me a studio there, and right in the building, and was where I made art and stuff, and I met a lot of interesting people. And one day I went to the Squillo cigar shop on State Street, and they said, hey, you should open an antique shop next door to us. It's now a vape shop.
Right.
And I said, that's crazy. So I looked in the window and I was like, why not? Why not do that? So I put my bench in the window and I started working on stuff, and people were intrigued because nobody, not too many people do gold leafing. So this cat called Randy Beach from the New Haven Register was intrigued, and he wrote an article. And that's when the owner of this building sought me out. And he said, hey, I'm retiring and I'm going to sell you my building. I said, yeah, no, thank you. I said, I'm good. And so he said, no, really, please just come look at the place. That's all I ask. So, grudgingly 10 days later, just to be polite, I drove up, which is, Westville's like another country, let's face it. And, or so I thought, right? And so I pulled up front and I was like rolling my eyes. So I walked the length of the building, and it had like a drop ceiling and miles of this carpeting that was molting and lolly columns. And it just looked, should we say, not beautiful.
Disheveled.
So he took me up. He didn't waste any time. He took me up there was like a staircase that was aftermarket, whatever. And we were up on the rafters, and I spun around. I said, hey, what is that architectural feature right there? He goes, oh, well, that's the proscenium. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about, proscenium? And he said, well, this was the West Rock Theater in 1913. And I said, oh, expletive. I have to buy this building.
And that's what brought you to Lyric Hall, and you have been this incredible cultural avenue for so much incredible moments that have happened. I've been there you see Fat Astronaut playing, or to see, like I said, the Steve Rogers thing was absolutely fantastic. That's always stunning to see him play, and then to reunite with his brother. I mean, that's to have Mighty Purple on your stage is a beautiful thing.
Wasn't that was a beautiful show?
That was absolutely a beautiful show and such a fantastic thing. What keeps you in the business? What keeps you at Lyric Hall? Because you are this amazing little nugget of just cultural beautifulness.
You know, I was just thinking that this morning.
Oh, cool.
You know, sometimes I think, why am I doing this? And I realized that from a financial perspective, it's not lucrative.
Right.
But from a spiritual vantage point, I hit the jackpot. I feel like the luckiest person to be the steward. And I realized that I'm just one in a succession of many small business owners. You know, it was a theater, you know, these paisanos in the turn of the century. We did the research, you know, with Colin Kaplan. And they were, one guy was a stonemason, one was a joiner, one was a roofer working at Winchester. And they're like, hey, this is the new thing. We should start a theater. So they bought the 2 houses on the property, demolished them, and they hired a Yankee architect to design it, and they built this place. And you know what? It was sort of ahead of the curve. And it was a Nicolette in those days, like a 5-minute film.
Right.
It was before silent film even. And they would have vaudeville shows that served the working men and women, because this is a little factory town called Hotchkissville. And we had Geometric Tool and Grice Manufacturing. All the immigrants came to this building to be entertained. And it went bankrupt. It became insolvent. It got bought out. And by 1920, it was eclipsed by the big movie palaces in downtown New Haven. And it became a auto repair shop. No, it became first a livery service. Imagine horses were in here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
And then it became this Swede named Kelson for about 40, 50 years, had his auto repair shop. Now we're talking Tin Lizzies and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became an auto parts store. And then it became a bicycle shop, a candy store, a plant shop, and then Wayne Chorney's antique shop.
A candy store?
Yeah, all of that.
Wow.
You have no idea. At least almost close to 10 small businesses. So I'm just one in the arc of time. This is a blip, but I say steward because, who knows what it will be afterwards. I mean, I hope it will stay a theater. And this is why I'm so keen on this interview. And I'm so thankful that y'all are intrigued and people love coming here, because I realize it's bigger than me. I just happen to be very inspired by my outer world, and I've been lifted up by the community.
Yeah.
And that's sort of it's a blessing. It's a big responsibility, but it's not logical.
Right.
I mean, within the way things, when you do the balance sheet, So I can tell you, I could tell you definitively that we are a true not-for-profit.
Right. Well, it's been like that for a while, and you were doing it on your own initially, but now you're working actually with the town, city, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, this city has always been it all started with the facade improvement grant, and that was a big thing. And the city we've gotten a lot of help from Nicole Jefferson and from the mayor, the Department of Arts, Culture, and Tourism, and, small grants and stuff. And I have a friend that I'm teaming up with named Margaret Bodell, who used to have she's what's known as an OG art dealer.
Right.
And she had an art gallery in the Ninth Square in the 80s, and she's moved back to the area. She became very successful in the city of New York. She moved back. And now she's a grant writer, and she's helping us, with, programming and operating costs. But here's the thing, is I decided a long time ago that this must not become a not-for-profit, because then it becomes run by a committee.
Yeah.
And with all due respect, it sort of waters down the intention, the intentionality. So if the place is cool, it's because it's my vision.
Right.
And I say that with great humility. I am like I say, I'm an artist and I have an imagination. And when I see and meet interesting people, I go with it. Like with
Right.
Wayne. I mean, most people would say, hey, get lost, Wayne Chorney. But I
Right.
was smart, I guess, enough to go to come. But I think it's happenstance, it's timing, it's not to be too woo-woo over here, but I think it's pretty cosmic. Art is.
No, it really is, because art is something that evokes an emotion, and you've
Does.
created this incredible safe space for emotions to be evoked. And you can, the minute you walk in, that your breath is automatically taken away, and then you walk into that back theater aspect of it, and that piece that you fell in love with really is something that echoes to you. It gives you that old vaudeville type of feel. It gives you that old, I'd love to see the dramatic things. I'd love to see like a drunk Shakespeare done in there, or something along those lines.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're speaking power into the universe. Drunk Shakespeare.
I'm with you.
Land at Lyric Hall.
I'm with you.
Were
Amen.
musicals ever there?
Yeah, we've had stage readings, we've had plays, cabarets. We've had everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was that I just couldn't say no. I said yes to everybody, and I just met the coolest people in the process. And I think, the place, it's just sort of, it's evolving.
Right.
Easy. There was an event with Manny James and Jamar that happened at Lyric Hall. What was that? It was for the kids.
That
was
was
for
the
the children.
Ignite the Voices Foundation. They did a thing there as well. They do it at a bunch of different spots, but they did it. That was the year that Marshall, actually, I think, hosted, our good friend Marshall Cruz. I believe he hosted that year. I actually was lucky enough to host this year, where they had it at a different spot. But yeah, that's been done there. I know Professor Fred Brown has done music videos at Lyric Hall, which has been incredible to see. I mean, it's such a beautiful spot, and I love it for a music video aspect of it, because there's so much history. Like you almost want to look up in the rafters and see if the Phantom of the Opera is actually chilling in this place.
There are ghosts. Yeah.
Ghosts. I'm aware. Oh yeah, no, I'm aware.
I didn't know there were ghosts. Like, what's the most fascinating ghost story you can say on air?
Well, I don't see them. I mean, I know they're here. I mean, I had a shaman come in one time because I was having some issues, and that was surreal. And she sort of cast out this dude that was like having an adversarial, relationship. And everything lightened up, but there are still spirits, and I have Violet, who is the artist who works with me doing the art restoration conservation. She is very sensitive, and she's had instances where like a door will open for her, and literally, and
Really?
she talks to, she gets the vibes. But there's this sofa that's on our stage that is haunted. And there are these three actors, and they are just having a blast back there. They're like, they're I think they're from the 1920s, and they're very sarcastic, and they're just laughing at the rest of us.
Yeah. No, you can definitely feel that too if you're on stage, and especially if you're doing any type of monologue. There's a second where you're kind of, the air kind of gets sucked out of your lungs for just a second, and you're ready to present. I remember doing the photos for the poetry ball, Alon's Poe Ball. We did that, and that's the photographer's like, picking up some weird light over there. I'm like, well, maybe we don't shoot over there. How about that as a smart idea?
No, but they're good. They're good spirits. Yeah. They're good.
Okay. That's cool. You have a lot of fascinating artwork over there at Lyric Hall.
I do.
What have you said not to? What could you not bring over there? Is it a hard decision bringing most of that artwork over there? Because it feels like everything is selectively I don't know. I don't know the best word to say it. I think you choose the right material for
Mhm.
that location. Like, is it
So,
very hard or it just comes to you?
so when I was a kid, I took an interest in antiques from very early on, and my parents encouraged that. And it started with my grandmother, who would just give me old stuff that she had, and my parents would take me on the weekends out antiquing, and that's how I learned. Really indirectly got into the business, and so I do it to this day. In fact, later this afternoon, I'm going to hang out at Monger's Market and see some friends over there. It's a big group
Nice.
shop, and in Bridgeport, and I basically in my mind I'm thinking, okay, who wants to live like in an old vaudeville theater, you know?
Mm,
And
Right.
sometimes these things will just come up and they'll turn up and say, hey, me, to, I'd like to live there. I'd like, this painting, this table, this light fixture. And sometimes I'll just switch them out. I'll trade up. Like, this is cool, but I found a nicer one. Let's fix it up and then we'll sell that one. So at that point, the place is like a giant stage set.
Yeah.
mm.
And I have to say, like, honestly, one of the coolest experiences as a musician and as an artist I've ever felt was actually playing the benefit for the pipeline to shut down the pipeline, because the minute while I was playing, everyone got a mass text that they actually shut down the pipeline. Like as I was playing, there's actually a picture of me like sitting like this on my guitar as I'm listening and watching everyone else become the performance. It was almost John Cage like. The audience just kind of like popped and popped and popped and popped, and I actually felt life change. It was something that was absolutely miraculous. It was another feeling that you got if you were there to see Steve. It's just that kind of aspect of moving forward. Now you're working with now. Let me get this straight. I'm not 100% sure on the paperwork on this, but you're working with Better Beast Records or Bigger Beast Records?
Yeah, that's right. So I met through Steve, I met Frank Vielle.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, John,
Nice.
you're really gonna like this guy. He's got some great ideas. He's got a lot of energy. He's super talented, and we clicked, and he loved the space. And it was funny because he came in the room and he just got real quiet, and I could see that the wheels were turning. And he's like, all right, we're gonna have Steve be the first show. And he's got a lot of interesting musicians in the pipeline
Good.
that we're going to be having. And but what I love about it, it has the feeling of like a coffee house in the 60s sort of
Right.
vibe. And it's held on a Sunday late afternoon, early evening.
Right.
And it just feels legit. And the name of it I especially like. It's called the Music Restoration Series.
Music Restoration Series. That's awesome. And how can people find out about where this music, when the Music Restoration Series will happen?
Bigger Beast Records, and also on our website, lyrichallnewhaven.com.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And they can actually subscribe to the website so they can get updates on when.
So as we speak, we're rebuilding the website, but
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay.
want that to happen. Yeah, with the mailing list.
Right.
Yeah, and but it, the moral of the story is that I can't do it alone. So
Right.
there has to be a simpatico sort of team, and
Mhm.
Steve, by way of Steve, Frank Vielle is a beautiful fit, and he's just super sincere and generous and talented, and he's got this lovely, beautiful artist in his life named Kayla, and
Right.
I'm just very happy for that. And he's so far we're doing it once a month, but
Right.
I'm hoping that we could up the frequency and just create a real scene
Mm-hmm.
and just maybe make a difference.
Right. Well, it is that spot where, like I said, you can feel that difference needs to be made there. And again, I'm not just gassing you up to gas you up. This is how I genuinely feel. We've had these conversations before. We've had these conversations when I was working at Edge of the Woods. You know what I'm saying? So This is not anything I haven't said off air. But as you're moving forward and you are starting to get that simpatico team together, what kind of philosophies are you having to help that person who's that next chapter?
Okay, so we just to digress a little bit. During the theater went dark for 4 years, and it was sort of like a reckoning, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And it was just very painful. I mean, I would watch movies all by myself back there, which is kind of neat, but it was, kind of creepy and kind of, forlorn. But at one point I went up in the attic of the building because there's more space that you can't see.
Right.
And I pulled out 400 posters. Now, those are just the events that had posters,
right?
Which blew my mind. And now that we're talking about this, I'm going to start cherry picking a bunch of those posters and, put them up on the walls, frame them,
Right.
and we'll make everybody, we're just reconnecting to all our people, our tribe.
Our tribe on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, Mr. E.Z. Vooz. John, go right ahead.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Preston. And so I think it has to do with, what is the highest and best use of the place? So what I love about the Bigger Beast shows that we're having, this restoration series, this folk music, acoustic music, is it's a listening experience. It's not about, booze and, people talking over the music and picking up people, which is great, if that's what you want to do. But I think the reason why musicians dig playing here is because it's a purely listening experience.
Right.
And like you said, I find myself when I listen to good music, I'll regulate my breath.
Right.
And by dint of that, it's almost a spiritual thing. I mean, it's an experience that you never forget when you connect to other people through art. And it's just it's indescribable, but you never forget it.
Right.
You never forget it. So that's I go by that.
You go by that. And now moving forward, obviously with social media and all those different type of things, are you going to be moving? Because I know Bigger Beast does incredible social media stuff. Are you going to be moving forward with that? Like say those posters that you found. Are you going to take pictures and see if you can like tag the older acts that were there?
Yeah, that's a great idea. I had the unfortunate occurrence of having my Facebook page hacked. So if you go on Lyric Hall Facebook, it's just like a zombie account. I can't access it.
Wow.
I can't, and it's a drag. It's it's a very sort of humbling experience. So I went on a I call it a tart letter writing campaign.
Yeah.
And what it comes down to is, recovery. And I tried hundreds and hundreds of times to, reboot it, whatever. And I found out at the end of the day, the only way to reach Meta is by a hard copy letter.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, that's my wheel well. I love this. So I reprinted these beautiful letterheads that we had, and I got the 100% cotton rag paper and got just the right fonts and had it printed up beautiful, sent it FedEx. And so far we're getting, I'm getting murmurings that they're taking it seriously, but I wanted to prove to Meta that this isn't just, a private individual, in which case it'd be a mere inconvenience. You just start another one, I guess, but it affects a lot of people. If I can't reach y'all and you can't
the
reach
community itself.
Us, it hurts. It hurts the community. So, but I mean, but these things are, it's difficult. It's difficult. Yeah. I need help. I need more volunteers. But I love your idea about the posters.
Oh yeah, no, you want to know something, and that's cool too, because like every once in a while I might have a free second or something like that. I'll pop in and see what I can do social media wise to help out. Because I love the spot. I love you, John. You know, like we've had 1.5 million different conversations about how things should be moving forward and stuff like that. And I love how I think there's so much potential in that spot. You know,
Thank you.
I wish parking was better. If I'm being real.
Okay, so it's great that we're having this
Yes.
conversation because I was talking to a filmmaker who was interested in doing another film series in conjunction with Best Video. Again, I want to go from once a month to once a week, and who knows, maybe more than that. And they said, you know what, John, we hate to bring this up, but the P word, parking. And I realized, we are having, suburbanites coming into Westville, who are programmed to have a big old parking lot, and we can't be in denial about that. So I wrote a letter to the powers that be about getting permission from the city, from the Parks Department, from Friends of Edgewood Park to use the lot right across the street.
Oh,
it makes sense. It's right there.
And so at that point, if we could add that to like on our website, we have a map where you could park.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a great boon. I think that'd go a long way.
Huge.
So the only sticking point is it's not well lit at night, and we want brighter, lamp posts, like lamp posts that go all the way, light up that gazebo. By the way, Frederick Law Olmsted designed that park, which is so beautiful, and I walk it almost every day, weather permitting. So it's near and dear to my heart. And, we had our state rep, Pat Dillon, and Adam Marchand were instrumental in getting this crosswalk right in front of the place. Because believe it or not, we used to have only one leg of the crosswalk, which blows my mind. But they went to the DOT, and the DOT was like, nah. And Pat Dillon was like, wait a minute, you don't realize who you're dealing with here, So we as a community went to the state capitol and petitioned to get the crosswalk. Now this is about 8-10 years ago now, and they finally relented, and because this is a state road, so it's a whole different ballgame. So by dint of that, we're connected directly to the park. So it makes perfect sense to have that lot used, and it benefits Manjares and Rawa and Camacho Garage and all the boutiques and frame shops and cafes and vintage clothing stores and stuff. And I'd like to think that when people come here to see a show, they come early and they check out the offerings, or they stay later and they go for dinner, and really that's what it's all about. So I'm going to talk to the people at the Westville Village Renaissance Alliance about maybe getting some sort of a handout that we could, maybe people could get a 10% discount. We used to do that, by the way. We had a relationship with Rawa, and they offered 10% if you saw a show here.
That's awesome. No, that is incredible. And actually, while you're talking, I had another really good idea, a little merch thing for you, because the parking lot's not well lit. Just little lyric hall like flashlights, like the ones you can put on your key ring. So it looks like it's also like you're going to your seat in the old theaters.
That'd be cool.
Where do you get? How do you get? That's a brilliant idea.
I can find out where you can get stuff like that.
That is clever. We're gonna do it. We're doing it.
Okay, I got you. Like I said, John, I love you to death. I'm gonna give you as many ideas as I can.
Right back at you. Right back at you. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, I didn't realize that this is going to be not an interview. This is like a love-in over here.
No, well, this is a conversation. This is a conversation so that people can know your story and can fully invest in what you're doing moving forward.
Well, I
want them to know you as the incredible human being that you are. So I'm going to continue to enforce how incredible of a human being I think you are.
Well, I am slightly embarrassed. I'm humbled, and I thank you. And the place really needs to be used, morning, noon, and night. It really does. And it's a great asset. And it just I like the thing with with Frank VLA, especially because it's like artists helping artists directly. You know, no middleman. I mean, middlemen are great, middle women, middle people, but I think we're more inspired when we have this dialogue, because we're on the same wavelength.
No, I think it's a great partnership, and I'm glad it's moving forward. You know, I also talked to Alon about maybe bringing some more of the poetry stuff back out. I know he hasn't been doing that in a while, and he might be looking for a new spot to do some things. So I'll have some conversations along those avenues and different stuff to help out the community, because that's really the key point of it too. You know, also we should talk. If the people who are downtown and that we're looking for like the Poets Laureate and different things like that, maybe y'all should be talking to Lyric Hall as well about putting on some poetry events. It's a perfect venue for a poetry event, you know, or spoken word, or even you have some of we have our incredible magician or stand-up comedians could actually be doing some great stuff there. Anyone who's looking to rebuild the vaudeville aspect, Lyric Hall is definitely the spot to go and go about your day in business.
That's right. That's right.
What's next for Lyric Hall?
Well, we are going to have some staged readings of plays next month, and this group out of Madison called Fuse Theater Company, and that is exciting. And we are constantly working to build up the relationship with Best Video, which, as you may have heard, is they're experiencing some financial difficulties, as all small businesses do. And
their campaign is and just to show how incredible, even in the darkest of times, how incredible the human light really is. Their campaign is doing absolutely amazing. Because people are really invested in it, and you know, it gives so much hope for those smaller businesses that are out there. So just shout out to Best Video. I hope they keep knocking it out of the park, and I hope all of that trickles down and can affect like with you as well.
Yeah, I think it's actually things that on the face of it seem disastrous could be the greatest thing that ever happened to them, because the word gets out. And there's that appreciation. It's like, wow, we've got this amazing thing. We need to spend money there, and frequent the place, buy coffee there, go to shows there, watch, you know, rent videos and stuff. But our next screening is going to be this coming Tuesday, the 18th, and it's Mulholland Drive.
All right,
that's David Lynch's film, and we're first doing just one screening, but now we're having two screenings, one at 6:30 and then one at 9 o'clock. So there'll be two screenings. And again, I'd like to team up with there's a guy that does he's actually right here. His name is Kit, and he lives right in Westville, and he does experimental film and our avant-garde film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. And then there's this group, and I'm not speaking out of school, I don't think. It's called the Westville Dads. Approached me about having like vintage films and films for young folks. And this would all be through the auspices of Best Video.
That's awesome.
Because let's not forget, we have to pay the royalties, because these are artists, you know.
Right, of course.
And but it costs like about $200 every time we have a screening, and people forget that. But Best Video has the relationship with the Criterion Collection and all these, you know, Hollywood companies. So, and plus, you know, they're Best Video. So,
well, no, and that's the key thing when you have, like you said before, artists helping artists. But Best Video has that artist type of feel as well.
Oh no!
Did we lose him, or did he? Oh, he might have just hung up his phone.
Oh no!
Oh no! Well, maybe he'll come back on. But no, it's so super important when you see these things come through, and it's something that I actually shared on my own Facebook thing, trying to help as many people as humanly possible.
Sorry about that.
So,
yeah,
no, it happens. No worries. We just kept it talking, because live air is live air. You do want to activate your camera again, though.
Okay, there we go. Hello.
There we are. Perfect.
Beautiful.
See? Nothing to worry about. We got it all squared away and taken care of. But we were just saying how important it is to, actively share when you see something like the best video aspect of it. Go on the social media, share that, make sure the link is in there. I love the articles that are written. Don't get me wrong, but that's one of the things that I do. I would kind of Monday morning quarterback, if they could attach the link so that people could read directly from the article and go right directly into the fundraiser, that would be awesome. But I'm sure that would also be difficult for certain things, and people have to have the rights to do things and all that kind of stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'm like a broken clock. I'm right like twice a day.
Oh, you're being modest. Little modest.
He's humble. He's definitely a humble man.
Yes, he is.
I am merely a humble penguin. I am merely a humble penguin. So John, when you're dealing with the artist aspect of it, and you're dealing with making sure you're having the film fees and all this stuff taken care of and all those different things, how can people support you? How can people get behind Lyric Hall? Other than just coming out to the spot, is there anything else that they can do? Is there a GoFundMe? Is there, do you have some sort of thing? I know you had an incredible working relationship with Iris. We're not going to talk about all of that because of everything that's going on right now. But I know that they did some renovation with you and different things like that. And it's a phenomenal program. But, how can people get behind you now?
Well, I'd like to say, case in point. I mean, this show, this interview is huge. Thank you again.
Of course.
And getting the word out, being patient with us, and this is what it all comes down to is like when it comes to getting craft individually sliced cheeses, you get it right away, and it's $1.99, whatever. But if you want something artisanal or something that is, made the old way, something that lasts, something that's good, and I'm talking about something that is like art is, sometimes it's dysfunctional, sometimes it's dysregulated, sometimes, so I ask that people be patient with us.
Right.
But we are working on, the website. It needs to be, have more bells, more whistles.
Okay.
And, it's not like we could go to the bank and say, give us $100,000 and, do all this stuff. But I see that not as a disadvantage. I see that as an advantage because you get, in other words, every human being that I meet, literally, when people walk in the door, I'm like, they bring bounty, they bring good vibes, but sometimes they're, they have talents. Sometimes they're musicians, sometimes they're artists, sometimes they are, carpenters, plumbers, or they have a good idea, they want to sell something, buy something. So we're good. But yeah, if people want to maybe volunteer, or they want to they have friends who are talented, who can, and I think what it comes, at the end of the day is people have to have a draw, so like the reason why I like working with Frank Vielle is because he's a musician. I'm not. I'm merely a visual artist, but he's a musician, and I don't know what the criteria are. But he, he's like, hey, will it meet the criteria? Can we fill the room? Will it work out? And so I rely on others, to do that. I'd love to have more readings, staged readings of plays. I like the idea of poetry. I like just things that are unique, one-off, things that are, like when that guy ever approached me, I forget his name. He was a Yale graduate student, about the pipeline. I immediately realized that this is a laurel wreath, to have it at this place. And it lasted, what was it, 4 or 6 hours?
I believe it was like 6 hours.
And there were hundreds upon hundreds of people that came here. And it's just like, this is living, this is what it should be like. And, we had this horrible, schism with this pandemic and stuff, and God knows what's in store for us. But I think there's power in numbers. There's power to the people. is the moral of the story.
Amen. Amen. And that's clear, that, you know, and that is super clear. And we need to go out there and have our voices heard. And, you know, one of the most important things that you can do, you know, forget about going to the ballot box to vote. You vote with your dollars as well. So when you can vote with your dollar and invest in a small business, small community, you're doing more. You're feeding a family instead of having pennies go to the dollar going to a huge corporation. I'm not knocking huge corporation living before people are like, he's being on his soapbox again. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying this is John. John is a human being in your community. You know, John has been in your community and doing things in your community for a very long time. And it is cool to invest in John because John sees a point of view that other people don't see. And that's a valuable point of view.
But I'm, you know, it's sort of, it's not just lyrical. I mean, it's just sort of like, I think back to the day, you know, going to Sally's when the Consiglio family, you know, Ruth Consiglio recently passed away, and very sad. And she was a lady at the cash register, and her, you know, her mom was always there, and her dad, and you know, he never took days off. I mean, when they when they closed that place, it was just for like 10 days they'd go away, and the oven would still remain hot. It never cooled down since the 30s, that place.
Wow.
But I mean, that is artisanal creation, you know, that dough that, you know, one of my high school chums, you know, worked there as a teenager, and he would tell me, you know, they would never give up the recipe, of course, but they, just the fact that you had to wait in line, and people did. And when you do that, it's sort of like, I mean, it feels like purgatory waiting in line for, you know, 3/4 of an hour, but you realize that it's like a grace period. It's like, wow, in this time that I'm waiting, I'm expectant of something good. It's the respect, you know, but it's so antithetical today. We get things immediately. We press a button, you know, AI, AO, whatever. I'm tired of it. You know, it doesn't interest me, and I don't believe it. I think it's a lot of,
but we believe in you on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and Mr. EZ Blues. My apologies, John. Go right ahead.
I better get off of my soapbox fast.
No, it's a great soapbox because, you know, at the end of the day, I remember when David Bowie was interviewed about electronic music and how, you know, electronic music was going to take over everything and was going to destroy everything. And he said, yeah, I'm not worried about it because no matter what, you want to go home and you want to touch something that's wood. You want to touch something that's real. And that's one of the big things. And I hope that people will go out more and go and invest in Lyric Hall more because it's something that's real. It's wood. You can touch it. You can experience it. And you need more experiences in this life. You know, I don't have $1.5 million, so I don't go on crazy vacations. But, you know, me and my kids, me and my family, we actually experience life when we can have those experiences. Whether it's spending a couple of dollars to go see Dropkick Murphys at the Mohegan Sun, or it's spending a couple of dollars to see Fat Astronaut play at Stella Blues. You know, we're going to have those investments because we're going to have those type of moments. And even that waiting in line. You know, that waiting in line, you're building a relationship with the person in front of you. You're having that experience that only that other person's going to understand. And you're truly experiencing life instead of just having life handed to you so you could move forward and, you know, continue to grind so that your nose is no longer there and the grindstone destroyed itself.
So somebody wanted, to that point, a good, well-intentioned purpose said, hey, John, during these screenings, could we put in trailers for upcoming shows or things that they want to do, you know, in other film series? And I thought, wow, that's cool. And then I was like, no way, because that's the money shot. When you have people getting there early, taking their seat, putting their coat over the chair, meeting the person next to them, standing up, sitting down, the interaction. And that sort of quiet moment, that expectancy is what it's all about.
Yeah. No, it is incredible. And I love the fact that you said no to that. You understood that those are points that you need to pull back, because once that mailing list is up it's going to be that much easier because those people are going to be investing in that moment again. They're going to be chasing that moment, that calm before the storm,
Yes.
which is such a beautiful place to be.
So yeah, we are reviving the mailing list. I think we have about 3,000-4,000 people on our old mailing list.
Yes.
And I'd like to reactivate that. That's a big undertaking, but it makes sense. But I'd like to have the critical mass of offerings before we, re-up that.
Of course.
But one of the things that I notice about when there are events here is it's very rarely that you see somebody texting or on their phone. I mean, yeah, they're taking pictures and videos, but it's like the place sort of steals the show.
Right.
In terms of, social media, being, on your phone. So that's a good sign.
That is a good sign. So, John, we unfortunately time is starting to run a little low. And the final question is, as per, like you said before, you're just the steward for this aspect of where this moment is. What advice do you have for the next steward, for the next generation moving forward in wanting to have that community in art? And why is it so important?
Oh, well, that's a very good question. And I think about that question. And I would say to them, follow your heart and don't try not to compromise. Go for the best. Be patient. Be good to people. It may take a long time, but cream always rises to the top.
It's true.
Oh yeah. It's made by that's one of my favorite speeches from Macho Man. That's why I had to do the "oh yeah" in there. Because cream does always rise to the top, and it has been awesome to rise to the top with you on this interview, John. Just right now, if there's any place people you can plug, how people can get in contact with you, how can they continue to invest in Lyric Hall and in you itself, the floor is yours. It's been an honor and a privilege talking with you, John, and we hope to have you on over and over again.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, people could just, tell your friends, attend events, email us, call us, have ideas, suggestions. We're receptive. Again, it's got to be something that is good for everybody. So I really enjoyed this interview, and I'm looking forward to seeing you both. And thank you.
You're very welcome. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, Mr. EZ Blues. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout?